You know what? Good evening, folks. You know what? I'm going to jump right into the meat and give you the meat of this video. As we know, Chicago and Detroit are just death houses. That's all. Every weekend there's a shooting count. This year, over this Memorial Day weekend, which was actually low, it was only 21 that were shot. 6 were murdered and 15 were shot down. Can you believe it? That's a low scale for the. Yes, I know, but that's the way Chicago is. But this is even sicker. A 17-year-old girl, a teen, Tatiana Lewis, was killed after being repeatedly ran over and rammed into a tree. And the article says by boyfriend's baby mama, a 24-year-old woman. I guess we'll blame the white man for that too. Let me give you a little bit of briefing on this. And it's really sad. An 18-year-old, you said 17 or 18, an 18-year-old woman is dead after being repeatedly ran over and rammed into a tree by her boyfriend's baby mama. Tatiana Lewis, 18, was killed by a 24-year-old woman Friday night in Chicago just after Chicago. Are you surprised? Just after 11 p.m. The attacker, whose name has not been released, rammed Lewis into a tree several times with her Jeep Liberty. Lewis died on the scene. The girl just came on the curb and just ran over her 2 times like she wasn't nobody to her, said Jennifer Baggert, a neighbor who witnessed the entire incident. The 24-year-old fled the scene but struck another vehicle about a mile away and was taken into custody. Thank God. They should have took a tree or a nightstick and whipped her behind until her nose bleed. Demon. Over social media posts. Do you understand that? It was some strife going on, quite naturally, where this guy must have been, and it was on Facebook, and they were going back and forth, and she murdered this 17 or 18-year-old Tatiana Lewis, this teenage girl. Let me give you some startling statistics, then we'll get back to this. We as African Americans in this country, if that's what you want to call yourself, are in a hell of a bind. We're actually at the bottom of the economic barrel. Do you know that? We don't own any businesses. We went from communities to neighborhoods to just what we are stuck with now, hoods. 73% of all black children are born in a single parent household. That's ridiculous. It's nonsensical. It's absurd. That's why you have such a high amount of these feminine. No, I'm going to leave that alone in this video. You have over 189 or 190 million white Americans. You only have about 40 million blacks, or African American, or Negroes, or whatever you want to call yourself. Do you not know that when Lincoln freed the slaves in 1865, there were 4 million blacks. Only 250 or 300,000 were free. At that time, blacks owned less than 1/2 of 1% of America's total wealth. Here we are 150 years later. And that's exactly where we are, economically speaking. We still own less than 1/2 of 1% of America's total wealth. 99%, no, 99.9% of every African American you know worked for white people. The same thing it was 150 years ago. After we've marched for over 50 years, we are no better off now economically than we ever were. And then now you have Trump and his marauders in Washington, D.C. And it's only getting worse. His Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, have already They withdrew everything about sentencing that President Obama tried to pass. Now, I'm not sitting out here and waving flags for President Obama, but he did try to do something in that area. What did Jeff Sessions do? He he enacted or reenacted stiff sentences, extremely long sentences for possession of small amounts of marijuana or drugs. But let me get back to what we're saying this. Do you know how many people were killed in Chicago and Detroit just in this year alone? Most of, you know what? I hate to hear of a black person calling themselves a gangster. Most black people do not know of what an actual gangster is. Somebody, a nickel and dime thug out there selling nickels of crack and shooting down old ladies and babies is one thing. A gangster is entirely something different, okay? It's bad to call yourself a gangster when you don't even have enough money to pay a lawyer to get out of these nickel and dime crimes. And it's an insult to innocent, hard-working African Americans everywhere because they stereotype us. This is why I said we need God in our life right now. We're working ourselves into being a permanent underclass in our own country. Let's blame the white man. I'm sick of hearing about blaming white people. We don't own any businesses. Your money is supposed to bounce 7 to 8 times in your community before it goes out to other ethnic groups or races. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Oversimplification, but that's what it is. Instead of training your children to go out and work for white people, or someone train them to be entrepreneurs, because if people without their own businesses, I'm going to put this to you in a simple manner. I don't care what country you're in, if you can't feed and clothe your own self, you are in one hell of a shape, and that's just where we are. Because if you're alive, like Dr. Claude Anderson said, you have to eat, you have to survive. And we're in survival mode. Look at Chicago, it's a disgrace. How much longer do you think Donald Trump is going to put up with that? I mean, let me tell you something. It's nice for Black Lives Matter to march up and down when a cop shoots someone, but what about all the black on black murdering and killing? Babies being shot down. Old elderly people too afraid to come down out the street. Kids selling lemonade. Little babies, little children playing in their front lawn. Even going into churches and killing people. Chicago, Detroit. Do you understand why people have such, not everybody's a racist, but do you understand why people have such a terrible opinion about, not everybody, but about a lot of black people? Every black person is not a cheap nickel and dime crack selling thug. Every black person is not. Most black people are honest, hard-working people. Most of my people went to college. It's something, I'm not going to go there either, that's for another day. But we need God in our life right now. We need direction. T.D. Jakes said, he was right on that account. We need entrepreneurs and we need our own businesses to employ our own people, to uplift our community. We did all the marching. We've been marching like Minister Louis Farrakhan said. We've been marching for 50 years now and you're worse now than you've ever been, except for slavery. And just look at the AIDS rate in the black community. You only make up 13 or 14% of the population of America, and it is over, I think it's over 35 or 36% of the population of everybody with AIDS. That's astronomical. It's nonsensical. We're not wild dogs. I rebuke that. The devil is a liar. Now, why do you say that, John? Let me tell you something. I'm tired of hearing people blame white people for everything. That is a lie. Sometimes you have to take responsibility for our own actions. Let's march up and down when Pookie killed Ray Ray. Let's march up and down the street when that little black baby gets shot down. Let's get Black Lives Matter and march up and down the street for Tatiana Lewis, the little 17-year-old girl that was rammed into a tree. The devil is a liar. I'm tired of hearing our people, the butt of jokes, hate it. You should see the reactions to this story. It's a disgrace before God. Those nasty black niggas. Tired of hearing that. Because the media get what you do. And they make you look like the total villain. You have to understand, our ancestors were brought here against their will. They worked 16, 17 hours a day, 6 and 7 days a week. And you know what they ate? Hog guts and watermelon. That's a fact. Why don't you read one that John the Box Brown? Read it. Not John the Abolitionist. Read. Do research. Why do you say that, John? You know what? I had relatives in every war in America just about over the last 100 years. I had an uncle who was a December 7th, 1941 Pearl Harbor vet. I had one in the South Pacific. Every war since, and I have relatives, close relatives in these wars. And some of these people came back and wasn't even offered a job. Do you understand that? Who do you expect to help? Only God can help us. You've done everything else. We need to repent, ask the Lord to help us, and give us direction, or we're going to perish. Or like Dr. James David Manning said, you'll be paying the Mexicans rent, and you'll be working for the Arabs. That's terrible. The little kid, another child died, dead, not died, murdered. Good night, folks. God bless you. Let's blame the white man.